Hi everybody, this is Dinocheirus from Prehistoric Facts. This is an answering questions episode, so we can get right to it. So Benjamin from Hong Kong: is Torvosaurus more fearsome and more powerful than Allosaurus? Based on size, yes, it is a little bit more powerful because it's actually a much larger theropod dinosaur compared to Allosaurus. But when it comes to more fearsome, that's still debatable. We don't know what its behavior really is, and so that's why it is actually going to be very difficult to actually find out how fearsome it really was. And so we can only guess how fearsome it really is. And so, sorry you actually see the light shining in my face, but that's the best I can do to actually be in this kind of position right here. And so, anywho, so Torvosaurus was probably a little bit more powerful than Allosaurus, because Allosaurus was a tad bit more agile and faster than Torvosaurus, and so probably not going to be more powerful than Torvosaurus. The only animal that would be more powerful than Torvosaurus in terms of a carnivore would be Sauropods, and Sauropods would actually be a tad bit larger than Torvosaurus and would actually be able to have enough power to take down Torvosaurus. How did Torvosaurus beat Allosaurus in Dinosaur Evolution? I mean, it's been a while since I've seen that, but from what I've seen, it was basically using noise, so its size and intimidation, and so that's the reason why you saw Allosaurus lose its territory in Dinosaur Evolution, and also this takes place in Portugal, by the way, and so that's why you actually see the predator versus predator type of confrontation. But even though Dinosaur Evolution is not the greatest dinosaur documentary, because they kind of humanized some of these dinosaurs a little bit in terms of the behavior, and so that actually kind of actually is a little bit of a disappointment. But even though it's still a cool series, just to actually kind of watch, you can. And if any of you haven't seen Dinosaur Revolution, look on YouTube. Look for Dinosaur Revolution. Dinosaur Revolution has 4 episodes. If you actually look up all 4 of those episodes, watch all 4 of them. Watch them from the first one to the last one, and then you can actually get the idea of how interesting Dinosaur Revolution is. But it's not the greatest dinosaur documentary out there. Is Futoloncosaurus more common than Portosaurus? For what I know about a Futoloncosaurus is that it's the most complete sauropod found so far, and that is actually large sauropod, and so that is actually kind of pretty cool. But it belongs to a group of titanosaurs. I'm not so sure how many specimens have been found of Futoloncosaurus compared to Portosaurus. I know Portosaurus is actually like maybe like 1 or 2 specimens, whereas like Futoloncosaurus, I think I know, as I heard, is 1, and so maybe we don't know. I don't know the answer to that one. And is Brontosaurus a close relative of Elasmosaurus? When I looked at the skeleton and looked at some of the pictures of the skeleton, basically, and looked at the comparisons to Elasmosaurus and to other plesiosaurs, Brontosaurus is probably a little bit more closely related to plesiosaurus itself than Elasmosaurus, because Elasmosaurus would actually be further down in time, so probably further into the Cretaceous, whereas a Brontosaurus is still in the Jurassic. It's in the Jurassic period, and so it's probably still the same size as Cryptoclytus and some of those types of some of those those other types of plesiosaurs, but probably not. Even though it actually probably not like Elasmosaurus in a way, but even though Elasmosaurus is a plesiosaur, but it's in the type of plesiosaur called Elasmosaurs, whereas Brontosaurus is just a plain plesiosaur, based to the plesiosaurus itself, and so that's why plesiosaurus and Brontosaurus are a little bit more closely related. But it's always hard to find out which plesiosaurs are closely related. But I think it's mainly by size. Brontosaurus can only get to 11 feet long, so it's probably not going to be as big as like, say, Elasmosaurus. And how come Deinocheirus never appeared in Dinosaur Evolution, Chased by Dinosaurs, or Dinosaur Planet? Well, first of all, at that time, at those particular times, Deinocheirus hasn't really been found with a full body yet, and so that's the reason why Deinocheirus was taken off, because they haven't really found the complete skeleton. And so it wasn't until like maybe closer to, say, 5 years after Dinosaur Revolution came out that that Deinocheirus's skeleton was actually discovered. And so, because first of all, how Deinocheirus was actually first discovered was actually by these really long arms that was actually found in Mongolia. And they didn't find the rest of the skeleton. They just guessed on what this dinosaur really was. At first they thought it was a meat-eating dinosaur because of those giant claws, but then later on scientists thought like, oh, it's probably more closely related to like the ornithomimids, so it's probably like a giant ornithomimid. But then they say, oh no, it's probably more like a Theropods because it's got the really big arms. But now they actually realize that Deinocheirus is actually its own species. It's actually its own genus. And so it's actually its own type of speciality. And so that is actually really, really cool, really interesting. And so that actually kind of gives an idea. And so it actually has a weird looking body shape, you know, like a hump-like back, a duck-like bill. You know, it is very bizarre. It's not a hadrosaur, it is not a therizinosaur, and it's not an ornithomimid. It's like in between a ornithomimid and a therizinosaur. And so that is actually really, really interesting to look at that dinosaur and actually see how weird looking it is. And Deinocheirus wasn't shown on any of those shows because there wasn't a complete skeleton that was found. And then I got a YouTube comment here. I gotta pull it up. It's around here somewhere. Oh yeah, here it is. Found it. Sorry about that. I was kind of searching for it. And so, this is from a YouTube user, Deinocheirus. His question is: did theropods have sagging neck? Please, did theropods have a sagging neck? Now, if you're talking about like a throat pouch, then I would say some did, some didn't. And so if you actually, because look at certain birds, like look at guinea fowl, look at turkey. You know, you actually see they have these like odd looking skin on their heads and on their necks, and so you would think like this is probably like how they were designed, which was kind of true. But basically, if dinosaurs actually had the same thing, would they look more bizarre than what we actually think they are? Absolutely. If they had those like that turkey neck look on their necks, it would be very bizarre looking at, like, say, a Tyrannosaurus Rex having like this wrinkly skin underneath its neck. But is it possible? Possibly, but we haven't found complete skin yet on certain theropods, and so that is really going to be very, very difficult. We find ceratopsian skin, we find hadrosaur skin, but very little on theropod skin. And so that is always going to be the problem here, is that we got to find certain rock formations that are able to actually preserve skin properly. And so the Hell Creek Formation is a great example of actually preserving skin very well, because we find the Brontosaurus with complete skin. We actually find certain Triceratops with certain patches of skin, very large patches of skin, by the way. And so that is always going to be difficult to find theropod skin. We only in China we find like the outer parts of the skin, like say the feathers. You know, that's what we can find out of those guys. But that's all I can answer for you, is that did theropods have sagging necks? It's a possibility. There might be some that have them. Some of them probably didn't. I think the ornithomimids and I think the dromaeosaurs and therizinosaurs and oviraptors probably did have them. Tyrannosaurs probably not. I think Tyrannosaurs had a little bit more of a throat pouch. And there is a Torvosaurus specimen that has actually been found that actually did have its bottom of its neck preserved with complete skin, and it actually shows that it did have the throat pouch. Alright, that's it for now. Now next week would be a special episode, so stay tuned for that, and let me know what kind of prehistoric animal you want me to talk about. Send it to me by email at dinochris71@gmail.com, or just go on my Facebook page, Prehistoric Facts of Dino Chris, and let me know which ones you want me to talk about. And also, you can still send me questions about dinosaurs or any other prehistoric life by emailing me at dinochris71@gmail.com, or just go on my Facebook page, Prehistoric Facts of Dino Chris. Like the page, you can actually post your questions on the wall or on the Facebook page. Remember, keep your questions short to the point. You can also follow me on Twitter at CSGILL. It's my Twitter page. I post pretty cool stuff on there. Also, take care of the people around you, and also for younger people out there, make sure to listen to your parents, your teachers, and your guardians. It's the best motivation you can have. A good education. It's very important to have good education. With a good education, you get a good job in the future. And right over my left shoulder, you can actually see is a Tyrannosaurus Rex skull. And so this one is this was a skull that was found near the Fort Peck area, and so you can actually see here that it's the Tyrannosaurus Rex that was found near the Fort Peck area. This is a cast, though. This is not the real thing, and so you get to show that. You get to let you show that one for a little bit. All right, that's it for now, and I'll see you guys next week.